Well, hi, Janet. Welcome to the High Vibration Living Podcast.
Thank you. Wonderful welcome. Looking forward to having this time with you.
Well, it's such a treat for me to be able to connect with you through my podcast and on this platform because you were the teacher that helped me connect with my spirit guides and know them by name. And I feel like that changed the trajectory of my life. So I want to help share that skill, that gift that you taught me with others. And I feel like at least through the podcast, people can become more aware of what their spirit guides are, how many they may have, how they can kind of start to build that connection at home until they find a teacher like you to really help solidify that for them.
Thank you. What a wonderful compliment. And it's on my heart, just as you said, to help other people. I know when I first was able to connect with them, it was absolutely a major turning point in my life. So let's make it happen.
Yeah. Well, I feel like your spirit guides, it's the one second opinion you can get that you can trust.
Correct. Yeah. And that's why it makes all the difference. It starts you on a journey that you didn't even know you needed to take, the journey of self-love and self-trust.
Yeah. And so for context, I walked into a school for health, wellness, mediumship, spirituality. And I was actually there to take a class on mediumship. I finally knew it was time that I needed to work on my mediumship skills and be able to control it. And the class was canceled that night. And it was suggested that I take your class. And I remember you started channeling Aero and they asked while I was there. And I said, because I'm going to start taking mediumship classes. And basically they said, well, you can't hone your mediumship skills until you have a foundation with your spirit guides.
Yes, because Anna, so sorry. I said, I'm not going to cough. I don't need a water. I happen to have a water here. No, that is well put. And I'm really glad they gave you that message because when we try to bring spirit in to receive messages, especially to benefit others, we don't have that firm foundation of self-love and self-trust and connection and partnership. We don't get the true meaning sometimes of the messages, and that can weigh so heavily on us and then confuse the person we're wanting to give the information to. So there was no coincidence. I don't believe I've long given up belief in coincidence. Yeah.
Absolutely. So for people that are just tuning in that aren't as familiar with the concept but have heard the word spirit guides, what are spirit guides?
Thank you for that. So many people come into this conversation. Well, I know what they are. And I always smile. Good, tell me, because I'm still learning. And in order to have it make sense, I think what I need to do is give you a little background of my perspective. I believe that before we're born, we have to petition soul. We have to say, hello, I really want a life. And we have to be able to tell soul what we want to focus on. And we do that by meeting with our higher self and our soul family, like our DNA family, but related through vibration of soul. And in that meeting, we choose what we want to focus on in the life. And in that process, two of our soul family volunteer to come into the vibrational life with us and act as our spirit guides. So we identify them as a female and a male guide. Spirit has no gender. It's more about the vibrational qualities of what they're going to focus on in their connection with us. And this is probably a little bit of an oversimplification, but I feel like they're connected to us energetically through the back of our heart chakra. And so from the moment the sperm meets the egg, there's a nanosecond release of light, and that is the birth of our heart chakra, which then becomes the vibrational format for the formation of the body that will become a human being when soul breathes life into it. That doesn't happen until much later in that process. But in that same moment that the heart chakra comes into being in the dimensional world of Earth, the connectivity of the spirit guides is intact. At the same time, our subconscious is born. So a lot happens in that magic moment. But from that point forward, there's a lot of confusion because, well, if they're my guide, why aren't they rescuing me? Why aren't they fixing things? Why weren't they in front of me when I tripped and bruised my knee? Why, when I said yes to that person I shouldn't have said yes to in hindsight, why didn't they get? So there's a lot of confusion about what their purpose is. And that's why I'm really glad to have this chance to talk about it today. They bond with us because they love us. They are also interested in the journey of having the experience of a three-dimensional reality lifetime, but without the bounds of the body. So I kind of make a joke that we have God, Goddess, all it is, soul, higher self, and our incarnation. And somewhere between higher self and our incarnation are our spirit guides. I kind of tease them. I say, are you guys higher selves in training? I haven't got a firm yes or no on that, but that's kind of my take on them. So they bond with us over relationship through this vibration of soul. They come because they love. They come because they want to know more about what it is to be physical as well.
And is it true that the male's always on our right side and the female's always on our left side?
That's the general pattern. On occasion, it's not like they're locked there and they can't move. They move. They're very flexible, very fluid. When they choose to become present, I kind of liken it to the opening of wings. It's like the back opens and they come around, and they can either come like to the front. Sometimes they'll turn. Sometimes they'll be slightly behind. Sometimes they'll be like way, way far away from you physically, but still connected energetically. The male comes mostly through the right side. On occasion, I've seen them show up, especially when I'm doing energetic healing sessions. I often see the spirit guides of the people I'm working with in the reversed position, because there's a weakness in the left side that needs the type of strength that the masculine vibration holds. And sometimes there's a need for a softening, a more flexibility, less rigidity on the right side, so the female energy will come to lend their vibration into healing and releasing that. So yeah, they're not fixed, but they do have general patterns.
And then how many spirit guides do most people have?
Oh, what a wonderful question. I just feel so lucky. I get to work with a lot of my clients are people already doing this kind of work, such as yourself. And so we all have two. Every human ever born has had two spirit guides. But depending on who we are and what we want to do, specialists can come in. And so over time, I've had some clients that they're like, is it me or do I have more now? And I'm like, yeah, you do. Because now you got interested, like you had the interest in mediumship. There are spirits that specialize in that. And they'll come in. They won't stay the whole lifetime. They'll come in like a mentor, like a teacher. And when you've absorbed and have processed what they can teach you, share with you, they'll release the connection, and then maybe another teacher will come in. I think the most I've ever seen present with one person is 7.
So I've had I've had 2 new ones step in. Yes. And because when I first connected with you and did your class, it was so great to do the work and find out my guides' names, but then get confirmation from you that I was right.
Yes.
So now I'm in a place where I'm not taking classes. Additional ones have stepped in. I've connected with them and gotten their names, but a part of me is still second guessing. How do we stop second guessing these truths that we know and feel and we see? I feel like the journey of life is like constantly learning to stop second guessing.
You are more spot on than you realize. I'm kind of laughing as you're seeing these questions, because I've been doing this consciously 40 years plus, and I still have moments, because it's not about the answer. It's about the process. And it sounds so simple to say it, but as you live it, you begin to understand it, that having their name, knowing that they're there, isn't where your growth occurred. Your growth occurred in the opening and the reaching and the desiring and being willing to conflict with whatever was in the way to have your truth, to have it confirmed. So there is no one spot. Here's their name, here's their number, but I am kind of laughing. What I have begun to not just understand, but to know is that we've all had moments where we've had communication, connection with our guides. We just didn't know what it was. So we didn't know how to name it. We've had those moments of epiphany. We've had those moments. I remember one time I was in college. This was before I was doing work as working to become a metaphysician. And I've had several times in my life, and it was always in my belly, like my solar plexus, where it was like, yeah, maybe I shouldn't turn down that street. Maybe I shouldn't meet that friend. Maybe I shouldn't. But very strong. When I was in college, it was late at night. I wanted to go to the library. I had a project I wanted to finish. And right across from the main library was a public parking lot. And I said, okay, I'm going to go there, park. It costs a few extra dollars, which when you're a college student matters, right? Okay, I'm going to suck it up. I'm going to pay for parking. And I tried to go down the street, and my stomach just turned. I mean, it was just like, am I going to be sick? I actually thought, okay, I maybe need to go home. I'm not feeling well. About the time I turned the corner, it was gone. I thought, I didn't like that. So of course, I'm not a quitter. And as soon as nope, okay, all right, I'm not, okay. I don't even know who I'm talking to, but right out loud, I'm not going there. And it was so sad, because the next morning I read in the newspaper about a young woman that had been attacked in that parking lot. So it was I got goosebumps. That's one of my confirmations. I got goosebumps head to toe. It was another form of confirmation. Yeah. So, and that kind of leads me into something I would like to talk about. And it's like, why, if they're not here to fix us, sorry, that would make us think we're broken, but we're not. If they're not here to make life easy, simple, better for us, why are they here? They're here to affirm us as the creators, that we are creating our reality. They're here. I kind of think of them sometimes like curbs, right? That I can't go too far astray without bumping into them. And they're not going to set up like, stop, warning. What's going to happen is you're going to be like, I feel less and less happy with myself, less and less peaceful with myself, less and less a sense of knowing what I'm doing or why I'm doing it. And that's where you're starting to get into their vibration, because what they hold on to is the truth of who they know you to be, which is the creator, based in love, based in trust, based in truth. I can make a lot of silly stories like now. I sometimes tease them about, don't you think of us like lost children? And they're like, oh, absolutely not. No, 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 no. You are heroes. You're heroes because you have the courage to do what a lot of us haven't had the courage to do yet, which is completely separate from your awareness of unconditional love. And so they come not to fix us, but they come to share our experience with us. And knowing that they love us, it creates, I want to say how to say this, the best words. As humans, especially in this society, we have such a temptation to judge immediately and to blame and judgment. Look at our world. Come on. I'm kind of laughing. I could point anywhere. I could point politics, economics, health, anywhere, blame and judgment. But the only way we grow, we heal, is by taking responsibility, so that as we learn to hold ourselves accountable and say, what did I do that created that situation? What can I do to change the situation? At that point, we're starting now to work with them in a higher level, because now they can give us suggestions. They cannot tell us what to do. But when we reach a place of healing to where we now understand, don't hand me the meal, show me how to gather the resources and cook it for myself, kind of a deal. And the more we grow and change and remember what we're here for, which is to learn to love and be loved, to learn to consciously create a reality, the more they can contribute in terms of awareness, insight. They also are magnets, vibrational magnets. What I mean by that is they're very beneficial to us in terms of helping attract the resources that we're looking for to make progress in our dreams and our goals, manifesting them. So
I had to write down what you shared, that our spirit guides are here to remind us to be love, be loved, and consciously create our reality.
I always say that everyone got the same job assignment from God. Here's your job assignment.
Yeah.
While you're down there or over there or in there, whichever way you like.
So I find when I sit and consciously connect with my guides, I will first ask them, is there anything I need to know right now? And I don't get much interaction.
No,
it's not until I ask specific questions that I start to get yes or no answers. So what are we
you doing this? What we were talking about. That was you taking more responsibility instead of what am I supposed to do, right? What can they do with that? Nothing. They can do nothing with that. They can sit with you and hold you, but you're giving them nothing to work with. It's like, paint me a painting. There's no canvas. There's no paintbrush. There's no paint. We got nothing for you. You've got to bring the resources.
I know. I think I'm like most people, where it's like we just want to know what we need to do to make our lives better. So we turn to them and they're like, what are we supposed to do to make our lives better? And, they aren't our life coach.
No, but they do serve a wonderful purpose in that. I actually want to back up a little bit because, we said the job assignment to love and be loved. Well, how simple, right? No, it's really not simple. Love is an intricate blend of doing and being, and it has various stages within it. I think of all the years I've worked with spirit and all the incredible experiences I've had, it's when I first read how they define love that I felt like I know nothing. Our world knows nothing. It was just so incredible that there is a formula, if you will, like a recipe, that if you bring these things together, you generate love, and you generate it in an unconditional manner. So I have an ideal for myself. It's the goal you want that you never imagine you'll ever accomplish. But my ideal is to live a life of unconditional love. And in order to do that, you have to acknowledge all your fear, not just I am afraid, but all the levels of fear. You have to look at how you've used the tools of pain. You have to look how you've used the tools of judgment, blame, denial. And so 40 plus years, I'm still learning, and it's still a delightful adventure. it's years ago, I heard someone say, I don't understand why we just can't be happy all the time. And I thought, why not? Why not? I could pound the table over that. And then I was thinking about it, and the word poignancy came to mind, that it is in my awareness of some of the deeper grief and pain of my own life that I've truly come to appreciate the love and light that is in counterpoint to it. And so I can't have the value of the light without valuing the constrictions and, if you will, the dark. We are a blend of both. We don't, we're not infants that, oh, let me just spoon feed you. What? I can't imagine that being a life. I mean, I can't imagine just, here's what you're going to wear today. Here's what you're going to eat today. Here's who you're going to play with today. Now go take your nap. Not I want a life of adventure and excitement, and I want some deep reflective moments, and I want some incredible highs. I want it all. I want it all. And in order to have it all, we have to trust ourselves and those that love us and work with us, that we're strengthened, we're clarified by those challenging moments. We're not undone or diminished by them.
So what are the questions we should be asking to our guides? If questions, maybe prompts that you can help some of us get started on.
Well, one of the things I love about doing the work to help people, and that's why I call it meet and greet. I do a class called Meet and Greet Your Spirit Guides, because that's what it is. And it's always fun, and it lightens the vibration, if you will. People aren't like, oh my God, it's my spirit guide. It's kind of a tongue-in-cheek fun there. But it's introducing a caring friend that you kind of forgot their name because you haven't talked to them in a while. And then you build on it. But when you develop a relationship where you can hear them, sense them, first, let me back up. A lot of people will say to me, I'm not like you. I can't hear spirit. I just don't know. I don't see them. And so I'm just broken, right? I know. You're human. Yay. You're going to start at the beginning like a lot of us, most of us, all of us. And I start with sense. Our tactile sense, we forget how powerful it is. And so I always work first to have people come in and have an awareness of the feel of their spirit guide, the vibration. And it's always a delight for me as a teacher as I sit and watch these people, because I have them do it with their eyes closed so they can focus. And I'm scanning the students. And I know the moment, here's my goosebumps again. I know the moment when they feel that connection, because it's just like, whoa. And it's like, do it again and again and again. That's what I tell people, practice, because in those moments you're forming a link, and you're not putting any pressure on the link when you're happy and inviting them. But there's going to come a moment, perhaps in the future, like me in the parking lot, where you're going to want to trust the message of that link, or you're going to be scared or frightened or overwhelmed or confused, and you're going to pull on it, and you're not going to feel like I have time to do, are you with me? Is everything okay? No, I want an instant presence that I can trust. So we start with the tactile, and then I work with them to build that connectivity, and it's always practice. And they're not here just to clean up after you. They're not here just to, change diapers or whatever you want to put it. They want to experience the physical reality with you. Invite them on walks. I take them to the movies with me. I don't share my popcorn, people, but I do invite them to the movies. And I invite them when I'm down, and I live so grateful. I live so close to the ocean. I love it. I invite them on my walks. When I'm trying to figure out my menu for the week, and I know that for me, sometimes food is still an issue. How much? Not enough. Don't like this kind, want more of that. And so I'll put my menu together, and I will test them, because I like playing with them. I'll test them, okay. And I'll say, what do all these foods have in common? And they'll be like, and I'm like, color. They're all green, or they're all orange, or they're, oh yeah. So they like learning too. And just like any other relationship, balancing the giving and the receiving broadens and deepens the relationship. So yeah, I don't know any way not to work with them except to be demanding of them. You have to tell me what to do. It just cuts it off. They're gone. They're disconnected until you come back into balance.
Interesting. How do you invite them to join you on a beach walk or on a hike? How can someone invite their guides to join them while they take a stroll in their neighborhood?
You have so many good questions. I really love when I get these good questions. Our world is here for a lot of reasons, but one of the gifts from the goddess is beauty. And when we allow ourselves to pause, because we're just such busy creatures, right? So many levels of input on so many different areas every waking moment. But when we pause and just focus on the beauty, for me, sometimes it's just the way, I swear, the ocean's a different different color every day. Every time I go there, it's like, oh, it's more green, it's more blue. And I'm attracted to the beauty of that and the light on the water. And as I start to get into the beauty, I can feel them kind of like, oh, what are you doing? And I'm like, come join me, share the beauty, share this moment. And it's like my heart opens. And I know at that moment, it's very similar to the feeling I have when I share something with my husband. It's like, isn't it wonderful to share this moment? It's that same, like with a child or a sibling or a parent, it's that deep bonding connection. We are now joined in this moment by our appreciation of something outside of ourselves. Yeah. And they often are very curious about the physical impacts of our world. So, for example, they're the ones that pointed out to me why I really do better. For me, it's it'd take too long to explain all the energetics of me and who I am, but for me, a body of water, I can take all my unprocessed energetic that it's not serving any purpose except generating anxiety. And I'll just kind of give it to the ocean.
Yeah.
Give it to Mother Earth, give it to the trees. And for them, it's like, scattering bird food. Oh, good. Thank you. We can use that. We'll put it to good work. So they're the ones that pointed out to me how my pattern of just being close to the ocean, listening to the sound and the timing of the movement of the water and just the feel of that big open space, which represents the big body of water, my whole body system slowed down. My heart rate goes down. My blood pressure goes down. The way I actually became aware that my body's way more able to access the nutritions of the food I've been eating when I'm calmer. It's fascinating to me, all the impacts. So again, if you just begin with the idea that I want to learn more about how they give to me and how I can give to them, start from there. There's just any place you want to go with it. I found out that I was gifted some crystals. Years ago, I never worked with them. They were gifted and since have become very much a part of the work I do. But the first time I picked up a crystal, it was like I had everybody right there in my hand with me going, oh, look at that. Oh, turn that. Would you? They're like kids. I was like, oh, turn it over, lift it, help it, squeeze it. What? Yeah. So when you give them permission to be fully in who they are, not demanding of them to show up a certain way, you're the awesome spirit guide with all, I can't even say it. Let them be them, just like they let you be you. And in that, you develop a trust. And in the thing that I have to say is most important to me is my awareness that trust and truth are so key. And they twine together like DNA. They wrap around each other. And what I mean by that, when you expand your trust, you expand your truth. And when you have them where you're solid and they become the foundation that holds up love in your life. And so if you compromise trust or truth, you can't hold as much love. So our guides are always working with us to bring some clarity and resources so that we can keep our focus on what am I choosing around trust? What am I choosing around truth? Because they know that we want that love and we need that love. And here's what we need to do in order to generate it, sustain it.
What I love that I'm learning from you right now is that essentially all the power is already within us.
Absolutely.
And we don't need additional tools, and that we can look at things like crystals as toys, fun things that we can use and we can collect that can bring us joy, but we're not going to be better people for having them. We already have everything that we need.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you actually touched upon a very interesting topic. There are certain vibrational shifts that I've begun to identify. And what I mean by that, these are shifts where we recalibrate the foundation where we hold our personal vibration. You might have heard like human animal, human being, spiritual being. Those would be a gradation of choose to take ownership, responsibility. When we step out of victimhood, when we step out of poor innocent, I don't know what to do or how to do it, it's all too much for me, overwhelmed, please fix me, rescue me. When we finally take a breath and step out of that, that's a vibrational shift and we create a new foundation. But the one that you touched upon is when we begin to understand that there's a phase where we accumulate things, possessions, information, knowledge. I have a client that I love to play with because they have a wall of certificates and documents affirming, all their education. And then one day they came into my office and I have a picture of my family. That's the only thing. And they're like, wait, where's your certification? And they're all in here. But it's the idea that we move beyond that. We move to a place, and it's such a peaceful place. I can't begin to have adequate words for it when we realize that you can have anything you want. It's your world. There's unconditional abundance. Everyone can have anything that you truly want. But you get beyond that and you realize that if I'm giving those objects meaning, I'm not really in the vibration of love. If I need that car, if I need that trophy wife, if I need that Rolex, if I need that job title, I'm not peaceful and complete with who I am. And when we shift to the place where we are and we still have possessions, we love them, we don't feel a need to go, accumulate more or continually accumulate, we've now shifted into the next vibrational level. And it's such a different world. It is such a different world. Your motivations are completely different because the motivation shifts from outside confirmation of who you are to the inside confirmation of knowing who you are. And it's, again, a game changer.
So for those listening to this episode and they've decided, you know what, it's been a long time since I've connected with my guides, I'm going to sit down tonight and make a conscious decision to connect with them. What are 2 to 3 questions they should ask tonight?
Well, actually, I would do it a little different. I would first invite them into dream time that night.
Ah.
When we are in deep sleep states, theta, I think it's theta brainwave state. I'm not sure I pronounced that correctly, but certain brainwave states, we actually have a connectivity with the non-physical realm. That's the place where our higher self can reconnect and basically feed and affirm the light body within the physical form. And a lot happens in that sleep state. But when we invite them into dream time with us, that can energetically begin the process of strengthening and rebonding the connection. So I would start with that. And the next thing is going to sound silly, but it's so important because inevitably you're going to feel a little guilty. You never did anything but love me, but I abandoned you. I mean, I'm overstating it, obviously, but I've done it myself and I've seen it in even my most advanced students. We all have, oh crap, I forgot you. Oh man, I'm a bad, rotten woman. Do you still love me? Basically. And then you're like, what am I doing? Yeah, what am I doing? Okay, I know you love me. And it's like, I think of it the same way I do prayer. Prayer is an incredible tool. And for me, I always start every prayer with gratitude. Thank you for my life. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for loving me enough to connect and stay with me. Thank you for being my curb. Thank you for not rolling your eyeballs where I can see you do it. Thank you. All the demonstrations. And because our connection to them never is broken until we take the last breath. It's our blame and judgment and fear what it means that I didn't focus on them. So forgiveness is a dance you do with yourself, but the impact is on them as well.
That's such a nice reminder. They're with us our entire life.
Absolutely.
Go
I've
ahead.
had the gift of helping some people transition.
Yeah,
And
that's what I was thinking of.
yeah, it is. And I'm smiling ear to ear, and I'm sure some people are like, wait, you help people die and you're smiling? No, I might look at it a little differently than you do. Happy to talk to you about it, but it's just an incredibly beautiful thing. I've said so many times to people, on our side, when a baby's born, right? The baby shower and all the enthusiasm, and oh my God, all the new, let's shower you with gifts and happiness. We're so grateful you're here. It pales into insignificance to the welcome home party when you go home. Yeah. And so it's like when you've been through this incredible experience and you want to sit and talk about it and share about it, that's what I see after people leave the life. The spirit guides, the higher self, the you that was present, the greater you that's waiting for all of you to come back into connection. Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah, it's interesting that we don't put as much emphasis on celebrating somebody's life as they're choosing to move on. That we give them all the celebration when they're young, not when they've mastered this experience.
Yes. I think one of the greater gifts of having the connectivity with my spirit guides and having over the years developed a true communication that is very trusted and very clear, a work of many years. Please, people, hear that part. And maybe you're just innately talented and it's going to take you seconds. And if you do that, let me know because I want to hug you tight. That's an amazing ability. But there's such a sense that we think we're in charge. We think we're in charge of the outcome. And I can't put it that way anymore. That the part of us that needs to be in charge, needs to control is our fear. And it's when we release the fear and say, I'm good wherever you take me. I'm good wherever I take me. There's going to be some benefit. There's going to be some insight. There's going to be some opportunity for me to know more of my truth, which is going to expand my trust, which is going to bring more love. I'm in. And so the harder, further, faster we want to fly, they're right there with us. They're never going to hold us back. They're never going to, I have to share pretty funny personal story. Years ago, at least 30, 35 years ago, I was still very much trying to figure out fear. And I worked with my higher self meditation guides. And I'm like, yeah, I'm really scared of this person, this event, and this person. And I just have to know. I have to know. And so they talked, they huddled. It's like, how can we help? We can't take it. We can't, it's like, well, all right. So they sat me down and they showed me some projected images of a potential future. Avoid this. And I'm like, okay, got it. About a year ago, I was sitting looking in hindsight, and I realized that I had met that person and gone through the experience in the worst possible way, completely forgetting, wiping out my memory and awareness that they had given me that information. Yeah. And then it came to me in hindsight so that I could see the beauty of it, because I needed the event in the way that it transacted.
Yeah.
Let me break an old barrier that I had within myself. And so even, I won't say that they'll tell you what you want to hear. They don't do that. But there's no gaming the system. Maybe that's the way to think. I've diligently tried. I want the shortcut. I want to know.
Yeah, there's no easier path. There's no wrong way. Like, you didn't make a wrong turn. This is the path. And no one's going to give you a better one to go down.
Correct. Yeah, because it's yours. Yeah. It's like, well, show me the path. And they're like, we're all sitting there looking, and there is no path. You haven't created it yet. The best image, and it's hard to label. I've had so many moments with a really wonderful image. I was at the very frustrating place. I just want the answer. I just want to know. And they gave me an image when I was a child. There used to be these traveling circuses, little 2 or 3 semi-trucks and a couple animals. But to a kid, it was like an amazing circus. And I beg, please, Mama, please, can we go? No, it's not safe. It's a waste of money. And no. But as a kid, it's, I want to go so bad. And so the image they gave me was, it was midnight. The circus was closing down. And I was standing there with the balloon in one hand and the lollipop in the other. And I'm like, but I don't remember being at the circus. I had the ending, but it was meaningless without the journey. So you all have an ending. Everyone listening, you have an ending. You're going to die. You're welcome.
Yeah. So you might as well figure out a way to have some fun right now.
Live between here and there.
So do you have any advice for people that are struggling with fear in different areas of life? It could be as small as showing up to a party, or having to tell their boss or a family member their truth, or it could really be as small or as big as it could be. How can we start to tackle our little fears?
Well, you're going to get another story just because I can, and then we'll get some serious information. But I have to laugh even as you say that, because a few minutes ago, preparing for this interview, I didn't have the software on the machine, and I was afraid that I wasn't going to manage to make the podcast connection in time. And I'm falling back into like, you're just not a techie person. What are you doing? You should have done this. And I'm like, wait a minute. Who's talking to me right now? Take a breath. All right. Whitney's full grown. We're going to work it out. If I need to call and ask for help, I'll do that. If I need more time, it's okay. It's all right. I don't have to be perfect. And that's exactly it. The first thing is acknowledge your fear and then respond to it kindly with love. When we first start shifting into that place of it's my life, my reality, my creation, I feel like we come out like warriors. Get away from me. I have a sword. I have a stick. I have a stone. I will frighten you away. I will be bigger and meaner because I gotta be. And then you're like, there's nobody there. It's just you. What is that all about? And as you begin to trust that, and the trust that you're looking for, the trust that I look for, is to trust myself to respond with love, no matter what the experience, what the occasion. And just as my techie moment demonstrates, we have patterns and places where we still hold a judgment on ourselves. We're not smart enough. We're not fast enough. We're not strong enough, skinny enough, whatever enough. But if we begin to recognize, that's my weak place. We're there again. Good for you. Come on, let's sit with this for a minute. It's not your truth. You're smart enough to do this. Everybody's going to take a breath. It's okay. Be kind. Think about it. Treat yourself with at least the courtesy you would a perfect stranger. You wouldn't go to someone on the street having trouble tying a shoelace and laugh at them and go, you're an idiot. You're going to fall on your ass. Oh my God, people are looking at you. You're embarrassing. You would never do that. Well, a couple of you might, but I don't think I want to meet you. But for the most part, you'd be like, do you need a hand? Can I help you with that? Are you having trouble bending over? Is it broken? You want to help and you want to be kind as an expression. Be that to yourself. And begin the process of dealing with fear by recognizing it's a very natural and needed human emotion. But we're we're not healthy with our anger often, because instead of letting anger be a part of fear, be what it's meant to be, it's a messenger. That's all it is. That's its job. Here's the message. But what we do is like, here's the message. Oh my God, what does it mean? What am I supposed to do? Tell me what to do, fear. I can't breathe. I can't. What do I do? What do I do? Right? Fear doesn't know. And so you're stuck. You're stuck in this loop where you're blaming and judging. And so if instead you take responsibility, thank you, fear. I got the message. Because fear is dedicated to its job. It'll knock politely. If you don't answer, it'll knock louder. It'll ring the bell. It'll lean on the bell. It'll start banging on the window. It'll start it because it has to give you the message. It cannot stop until it delivers the message. So if you don't want your fear to ramp up, respond. Oh, I'm uncomfortable. Thank you for that. What is it I need to be aware of in this? Why am I uncomfortable? I feel like I'm going to let somebody down. I feel like I'm going to be judged. I feel like, well, is that really true? Is somebody going to, for the rest of my life, I will be labeled as such because I couldn't? No. We make it bigger because what we're doing is every fear we generate as an adult, we're actually trying to connect to a childhood fear that we haven't ever yet resolved. So fear is an opportunity, and begin to honor it and begin to value it and begin to seek it out, because you don't have to wait for the message. You can go look for it. And that generates even more power on your end of ownership of self. But I brought anger in a little bit in the earlier part because it's very tied to fear.
Okay.
I love when spirit starts to play with me. They're just dropping images into my head as I'm speaking to you. Years ago, we had just moved to this house almost 30 years ago. My goodness, time flies. And I was driving my husband to an event, and I was a little uncertain about the road. And we're on the freeway, and I knew I had to immediately move over. And I'm like, so I just started moving my car, and I cut a car off. Rude. And then, of course, the lights and the siren. I cut off a highway patrol officer, and I'm like, so I pull over. Obviously, I pull over, and he gets out, and he comes over, and I roll down my window, and I am who I am. This is me. And I look at him, I said, I am so sorry. Are you okay? And he went from to like, I said, please, I know when someone does that to me, I get angry because I'm scared, and I don't want to admit that I'm scared, so I get angry. So please, if you're angry, it's okay. And I want you to hear, I'm sorry. And my husband's over here staged like he's invisible, that's not even looking at me. And the officer's like, yeah, you made a poor choice there. Let me see your license. I'm like, okay. I figure I'm going to jail, getting a ticket, whatever. And he writes it all up. He hands it back to me, and he goes, next time you be more careful. And he walks away. And my husband turns and he looks at me and goes, I would have been arrested. I would have been a lot of it. And I've thought about that so many times, because my truth was I had done something wrong. I had been unwise. I had endangered the three of us in that moment. Thankfully, he had much better reflexes than I did. But that was a shift for me in understanding the connection between fear and anger. I'd never seen it so clearly before. So I share that story with people because a lot of times we see our anger well before we ever see the fear. Because we don't like fear makes us vulnerable. But again, you're judging vulnerability. Vulnerability is a portal. It's an opening. It's where and how love enters. And so if we're like, I'm never going to be vulnerable, I'm so sorry. You're going to lead such a sad life. So vulnerability, I think of it like a knife blade. You want to balance on the blade, because if you fall one way, it can be very negative, and if you fall the other way, it can be very negative. So it's a respect and honoring of self is what allows you to hold your balance with vulnerability. And that makes processing fear easy, and you typically will never generate the anger that you might have in previous experiences.
This is really helpful, hearing about the chain of anger to fear to vulnerability,
Yes.
how it's all connected. And then ultimately would really just lead to love.
Yes.
If you can just let it all go. So thank you. Very, very helpful.
Wonderful.
So if somebody is now ready after listening to this conversation to connect with their spirit guides, where should they start? Should they reach out to you and see when you're offering a class? Should they look for a teacher online? Should they pick up a book? What do you recommend?
It's a really good question. There's so many. We live in an environment in which we're surrounded by love and opportunity. And if you truly desire it, the tool, the teacher will find you. You will find them. I'm not the only one. Please. As you can tell, I hardly like what I do. I love what I do. That is my passion. It never gets old. I love the discovery for myself and others. And I'm constantly seeking out tools myself. But people have unique abilities. I did not realize when I started this work that I can see other people's guides in their higher self. I can interact with them. On occasion, I perceive soul vibration and can receive messages. I didn't realize everybody couldn't do that. So that just happens to be some of my unique tools. But there's other people that have those same abilities. Your strongest tool is your own, I just lost the word, not insight, intuition. Thank you. Your ability to connect with any spirit, your spirit guides, your higher self, soul, God, all it is, comes through your intuitive self. We all have it. It's all there. It's more alive and awake and aware in some than others. And I think it's kind of I want to take a moment here for what I think is a timely message for where we are in the development of humanity as a race of beings. If you think about what's happening in our world with truth, right? Everybody's got a truth. They've got their truth. And a lot of them, because of their fear, want to impose their truth upon you. Because if you're lined up with my way of thinking, I own you, I don't have to worry about you, I can tell you what to do, I'm going to move on to the next person I have to overcome and overtake, and I'm just going to start knocking you down like dominoes. And so people that are like, yeah, your truth isn't lining up with mine, it's valuable to you, but it doesn't work for me, I'm in that category. I think what's happening is a lot of people's intuitive forms are coming online. People are starting to say, it doesn't feel right to me. It doesn't sound right to me. Because our intuitive body is like a bell. When we're given truth, I mean the vibration of truth, we know it. There's a part of us that knows it. And that's our intuitive self saying, focus here, focus here. And in that, the pressure of our world right now, it's motivating us to let that process become quicker, faster, deeper. So stop judging the chaos of the world as bringing you all kinds of gifts and opportunities, might be a short answer for this. But the more that you realize that there's nothing happening in your world that's beyond your ability to respond to in some level, start taking ownership of self back. Yeah. And then keep inviting them in. How many times have you, I didn't hear that. I don't remember that. I don't care about that. You've shut them out, dismissed them so many times. Well, don't you feel more comfortable when someone says, please come in, join me? Don't you bring your best self? Don't you open up to give more? Well, absolutely. Invite them in and think in terms of partnership. You're not a supplicant and they're not a god. Your consciousness working to know more about who you are through a series of shared adventures.
They're a partnership in this lifetime.
Yes. And do a daily practice. Not because you have to, but because the benefits of it, we're beings of patterns. We are. It's amazing to me. I keep thinking, oh, that can't, but nope, there it is again. There's a pattern. There's another pattern. They tend to be circular. And what I love about working with spirit is they pointed out, well, we call that habitualized non-response. Think about that. If your way forward to making peace and gaining ownership of your life is to keep acknowledging that you are the creator and you are responsible, by habit, not responding means you're abdicating your responsibility for ownership. And we do that because think about it. Just in the room that I'm in, there's light, there's sound, there's motion outside, there's visual from artwork, and there's books and paperwork of undone there's so much input that if we don't habitualize some of it, we can't move. We can't get dressed. Right? So it's an ongoing process of prioritization. And if you begin to prioritize your peace and well-being because it adds to the joy of the day, it makes you feel more aligned with the purpose and it generates a greater sense of happiness and abundance. Do the daily practice. And sometimes my daily practices compress to, good morning, I love you, I got to go to work now. But it's still a daily practice. Other times it's a lot deeper and more meaningful. But what I've learned to do is not judge whatever depth and breadth of that daily practice is. Stop judging yourself. There, I got it. There's your t-shirt. Stop judging self.
Well, can you leave our listeners with maybe one last tip? One last health, wellness, spiritual tip that they can consider adding into their life just to improve and uplift it.
Thank you. Yes. And it is another game changer. Community. About 25 years ago, Spirit started saying, start forming like-minded, like-hearted community. And I've been reminded of that over and over again. I have an advanced class of students, and in that class, the community that's developed has supported each of us, all of us, through multiple shifts and transitions. We've helped deal with death of spouses, death of children, violent attacks, inner child work that's come up, business ventures, failing, succeeding. But within that trusted community, we can be more vulnerable. And because we can be more vulnerable, we can allow greater love, greater light, greater opportunity, greater adventure. So the community isn't just other people, obviously. The community is your higher self, your soul, your spirit, your one-on-one connection with God, Goddess, all it is.
Well, thank you so much, Janet. It's such a treat to connect with you here. I love learning from you,
Thank you.
and I really look forward to seeing you again and doing more work with you in the year.
Thank you so much. Yeah, as you can tell, I love what I do. Welcome, welcome. Join me. I want to learn from you as well. So thank you so much for this opportunity, Whitney. Looking forward to next time.